Vipin, are you there?
Yes, sir, started.
Okay, thank you. So, dear students, you are welcome in this class. It is phosphorus in soil and fertilizer or phosphatic fertilizer. So, today we will see, or in this lecture, we will see the status, forms, and availability of phosphorus in soil to describe the classification, composition, manufacture, and properties of certain phosphatic fertilizers. This is terminology of phosphorus, inositol phosphate. Inositol phosphate is the most important organic compound containing phosphorus. A cycle molecule with 6 hydroxyl groups forms the hydrophobic head group of membrane inositol phospholipids. Inositol phosphates are intracellular second messengers in eukaryotic cells. Orthophosphoric acid it is S3PO3, partially acidulated rock phosphate. Now I think connection can go, internet can go because there is no power now. Anyway, if it works, fine. Phosphate rock is source of phosphorus. Its most naturally occurring raw materials being apatite. This phosphate rock or rock phosphate, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there was some trouble in connection. So it is restored. All right. Phosphate rock is the fundamental source of phosphorus. All the phosphatic fertilizers are made from rock phosphate. There is no other source of phosphorus which can be commercially exploited to produce phosphatic fertilizers. And it is fundamentally a mineral, apatite, in the apatite form. And if it has chloride in the with the calcium, you must be knowing the formula. Chloride, then it is chlorapatite. Similarly, fluor, if you have fluoride combining with one calcium, then it is fluorapatite or hydroxyapatite also. So there are different forms of apatite. It contains Ca9, calcium 9 are there, Ca8, Ca8 and one Ca is attached to fluoride, chloride or hydroxide. So phosphate rock, or you can call it rock phosphate, it is synonymous. And phosphate fixation is conversion of available phosphorus to unavailable phosphorus. Phosphate potential. It is the chemical potential of soil that indicates the availability of phosphorus in soil. That is known as phosphate potential. Phosphogypsum, it is kind of gypsum containing very small quantity of phosphorus. It contains about 0.5% phosphorus, roughly 0.5%, and it is a waste product. Many times it is phosphogypsum is a waste product. So it is a calcium sulfate dehydrate, a byproduct in the manufacture of phosphoric acid by the wet process. It is high-grade gypsum containing 90 to 95% calcium sulfate dehydrate. It is normally waste product and sometimes it is sold in the market at a very cheaper rate also. People have done some work on phosphogypsum and they have found it is as good as gypsum. The only problem with phosphogypsum is that it may contain certain radioactive material. And there may be some objections from the environmentalists that why to use phosphogypsum if it contains some radioactive material. So therefore, its use is not very common. However, gypsum has no such impurities like your uh, radioactive materials or heavy metals. Then phosphocompost is a mixture of decaying organic matter such as vegetation. If you put rock phosphate in composting process, it becomes your compost. Phosphoric acid, phosphorus cycle, phosphorus pentoxide. Phosphorus pentoxide, the cycling of phosphorus between sorry, phosphoric phosphoric anhydrous anhydride P2O5 is a white highly deliquescent solid that sublimes at 300 degrees centigrade and reacts violently with water to give orthophosphoric acid. So actually this phosphatic fertilizer, for phosphatic fertilizer, phosphorus content is given in oxide form, that is P2O5. And P2O5 is not in available form, it is not taken up by the plant, but still people write it in this form so that they can show you higher levels of phosphorus in their fertilizer. Now, phosphorus in soil. What are the levels of phosphorus in soil? So total phosphorus in soil is generally less than total N or K. It is much less than nitrogen or potassium. About 1/10 to 1/4 of nitrogen and 1/20th of potassium. So compared to N and K, its values are very small in soil, and total P in surface soil may be from few milligram, maybe 5 milligram to 1 gram per kg. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus in subsoil may be less than, equal, or greater than surface soil. So, nitrogen is mostly confined to the surface soil, but phosphorus can be equal or less or more than the surface soil, this phosphorus. So total P in soil is classified into two, organic phosphorus and inorganic phosphorus. So before going into the phosphorus cycle, you may come across a term which is known as occluded P. Occluded P. I am telling you in advance what does it mean. Occluded P, it is kind of very highly unavailable phosphorus. So if iron or aluminum hydroxide are precipitated, if iron or aluminum hydroxides are precipitated on the surface of iron and aluminum phosphates, the phosphate becomes occluded, means occluded secondary inorganic phosphate. That is your occluded P. See it again. If iron or aluminum hydroxide are precipitated on the surface of iron and aluminum phosphate, the phosphate becomes occluded secondary inorganic phosphate. Its availability becomes very slow. Now you see this cycle, phosphorus cycle in soil, very simple cycle. If you have, you can start from anywhere, solution P. Solution P is your, maybe compensated from labile adsorbed P. Labile adsorbed P. This labile adsorbed P can become part of occluded P. And this occluded P can release or can become more soluble in the form of insoluble P compound. And these insoluble P compound can be solubilized to solution P. The solution P can go to labile organic P. It can go to labile means readily available. Labile organic P. This labile organic P can be part of humus, stable humus P. And they are in reverse or equilibrium. And then living organism can also take up some solution P. It is not shown, but they can take up some solution P or labile organic P, is living organism. And they can also make your stable humus P. So overall, you can see the two forms of phosphorus in soil. One is organic, other is inorganic. So they are cycling, or they are just changing one into another form. Sometimes your organic P may convert to inorganic form, and in inorganic form easily available, and then difficult availability, and very, very difficult to have availability. So there are different pools of inorganic phosphorus. Now you see inorganic phosphorus compounds of calcium dominate in alkaline soils. This is very true, and this is known to you also. This calcium, phosphates, etc., they dominate in alkaline soils, and compounds of aluminium, iron, phosphates dominate in acidic soils. So the ionic forms of inorganic P depends on the soil pH. So you can see S3PO3, this orthophosphoric acid, pH is less than 3, then phosphorus can be in this form. If pH is 4 to 6, So most of the phosphorus is in H2PO form, PO4 form, which is the most available form. And then at pH 6.5 to 7.5, it is HPO4 and H2PO4 both in 6.5 to 7.5. And if your pH still increases to 8 or 10, 8 to 10, then your HPO4 will dominate. And pH more than 10, it is phosphate, PO4. Now, organic phosphorus. So organic phosphorus is found in plant residues, manures, and microbial tissues. And soils low in organic matter may contain only 3% of their total phosphorus in the organic form. But high organic matter soil may contain up to 50% or more of the total phosphorus content in the organic form. So you can see the ratio of organic is to inorganic phosphorus may vary from 3 to 50. 3 to 50, very large. So if one is more, the other will be less. If we see the total phosphorus, if you
हेलो
हाँ सौम्या
ये कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है
hello, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now voice is coming, sir.
sir your voice was not
Okay.
coming.
Can you hear now? Hello.
yes sir
Yes sir
Can you
can hear you.
actually now the light or electricity is restored? I can continue. So it was not my fault. It is electricity is coming, going, and don't know. Anyway, so organic P and inorganic P, two forms, and most of the time they are 50-50. 50% is in organic P and 50% is in inorganic P, but range may be 3 to 50%. So organic P may be from few milligram to 0.5 gram per kg, and 20 to 80% of the total P is organic P. So now 4 forms of organic P in soils. So see what are the important forms of organic P or important forms in organic matter, you can say organic matter. So inositol phosphate is the number 1, which is in soil 1.4 to 356 milligram per kg. Range is very, very wide, and percentage of total P is 0.3 to 62%. Similarly, nucleic acid, your RNA, DNA, 0.1 to 97 milligram per kg soil, and percentage-wise, it may be 0.1 to 65. And phospholipids, 0.4 to 17 milligram, and then 0.03 to 5.4. So you do not bother about it, but you can see that the most important organic form is inositol phosphate, and other forms are nucleic acid and phospholipids. So these are the 3 important sources of organic phosphorus. Now see how this organic phosphorus can be converted into inorganic phosphorus, or inorganic can be converted into organic phosphorus. So organic forms of phosphorus, microbial action is there and it is converted into inorganic phosphate. And this inorganic phosphate can react with aluminum, calcium, or iron depending upon the soil pH, and it will be converted into iron, aluminum, or calcium phosphate, which is insoluble or fixed phosphorus. So this is immobilization. Immobilization can also happen. This phosphate can be converted into organic form, or phosphate can be converted into inorganic form, which are insoluble. So, but mineralization can convert organic P into inorganic P. Now see phosphorus in soil. You have seen the wide range of phosphorus levels in soil. So organic phosphorus content in soil depends. It was very wide range of organic phosphorus. It depends upon climate, vegetation, soil texture, land use pattern, fertilizer practices, and drainage practices. Several factors affect the organic forms of the phosphorus. Classification of phosphorus compound in soils. There are three major groups of phosphorus compounds in the soil. So far, inorganic phosphorus is concerned. One is readily available phosphorus. It is in soil solution. The forms may be HPO4 and H2PO4. Other forms are in fertilizers manure. So it can come from exchangeable sites, it can come from fertilizers or manures. Next is your slowly available phosphorus. This is known as labile. Labile phosphorus, iron, aluminum, and manganese phosphates in acid soils and calcium magnesium phosphates in alkaline soils. So they are freshly precipitated. So freshly precipitated can be in reversible order or held on the surface of fine soil particles. So this is your slowly available or labile phosphorus. And third is your very slowly available phosphorus or non-labile. It precipitates as of iron, aluminum, manganese, and phosphate, but they should be aged. They are not freshly participated. They are aged and well crystallized, penetrate soil particles, and they become stable. And here also you will get occluded phosphorus. Occluded phosphorus is very slowly available phosphorus. Now you see this cycle, phosphorus cycle in the plant soil system. So different people have given different kind of cycles. So it is in soil solutions. From soil solution, it can go to crop uptake, and crop uptake removed in harvested produce. So some phosphorus is exported away from the soil by the plants. And then in soil solution, there may be water soluble nutrients in manures and fertilizers, or they can directly supply phosphorus to soil solution, and it can be lost as subsurface drainage or leaching losses can occur for S2PO4 or HPO4, and then it can be readily available pool. A readily available pool, it is in equilibrium. The solution P is in equilibrium with readily available pool and less readily and very slowly available. So this is very simple phosphorus cycle in the plant soil system proposed by Johnson. And some more cycles are there in principle. Now, phosphorus movement in soil. This is important, particularly for applying phosphorus in the soil. We should know how phosphorus moves in the soil. We already discussed movement of nutrients to the plant roots. So soluble phosphorus, either from fertilizer or natural weathering, reacts with clay, iron, and aluminum compounds in the soil and is converted readily to less available forms by the process of phosphorus fixation. So because of these fixation process, phosphorus moves very little in most soils. So its movement is very slow and less than 1 inch in most soils. So it moves less than 1 inch in soil. So movement is very less. As a result, little soil phosphorus is lost by leaching because it is quickly fixed. If leaching happens mainly from the solution phosphorus which is in the solution. This fixed residual phosphorus remains in the rooting zone and will be slowly available to the succeeding crops. So phosphorus has very good residual effect in the soils. Crops seldom absorb more than 20% of fertilizer phosphorus during the first cropping season after application. So it has 20% recovery, you can say 20% recovery of the applied phosphatic fertilizer. Soil erosion and crop removal are the significant ways to soil phosphorus loss. So phosphorus is mainly lost by soil erosion and by crop removal and partly by leaching. It stays close to its place of origin. Wherever you put in soil, it will remain there. Nearly all phosphorus in soil moves by diffusion, and diffusion depends on soil moisture. So you can see the relative NPK calcium movement in soil. So highest movement is for nitrogen, followed by potassium and then calcium, and phosphorus moves very little. Soil phosphorus continues since the roots of growing crop contact only 1 to 3% of the surface, 15 to 20 centimeters. So very less volume of soil is touched or occupied by the roots, and soil must be adequately supplied with phosphorus to support optimum growth. We understand that movement of phosphorus is very slow and it is not uniformly distributed throughout the soil. Therefore, the soil should be adequately fertilized. The soil phosphorus level throughout the rooting zone should be high enough to ensure adequate available phosphorus. Adequate available phosphorus should be available at every growth stage of the crop. Now, what are the factors that will affect the phosphorus availability? I copied most of the things from nature and properties of the soil. If you miss anything in this lecture, you can see phosphorus from nature and properties of the soil. So these factors affecting phosphorus availability are copied, like soil pH, amount and type of clay, time and source of application of phosphatic fertilizer, soil aeration, compaction, soil moisture and temperature, phosphorus status of soil, type of crop, other nutrients, amount and decomposition of soil organic matter, activities of soil microorganisms. So these are the factors which affect the phosphorus availability. So sometimes a question is asked from the students that write down the factors which affect the phosphorus availability. Other way it can be write down the factors which affect the phosphorus fixation. So factors are same. Whether you talk of phosphorus fixation means less availability, and availability means more availability means less fixation. So the same factor will affect the phosphorus availability. What are affecting your phosphorus fixation? The answer of two questions is same, whether you talk about factors affecting phosphorus fixation or factors affecting phosphorus availability. For example, soil pH. Soil pH influences your fixation of phosphorus. So if it is under certain pH conditions, it will fix more phosphorus, then the availability will be less. So therefore, the same factor will affect the availability as well as fixation. So we'll discuss briefly these factors. For example, soil pH. In the lower pH, if pH is too low, say 5.5 or less, then phosphorus will be fixed with iron aluminum phosphates as iron aluminum phosphate, and it is unavailable. And it is 5 to 5.7, then mono and dicalcium phosphate. Here you get maximum availability. And then pH is 7 to 9. Here you may have more of tricalcium phosphate, which is generally unavailable or less available. Now you see the ionic forms of inorganic phosphorus depends on soil pH. So H3PO3 is your less than 3. 4 to 6, it is dominated by H2PO4. And both HPO4, H2PO4, 6.5 to 7.5. HPO4 is 8 to 10 and PO4 more than 10. I think it is repeat. So you have seen that phosphorus will affect the fixation and availability. The soil pH will affect the fixation as well as availability of phosphorus. Now see the soil pH, how pH is affecting availability. So on the bottom x-axis, you can see it is soil pH increasing 0, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This picture is copied from Brady book. And you see the distribution, relative distribution on y-axis from 0 to 100. So you see in the beginning at pH up to 4.5 or up to 5, you can see chemical fixation by soluble iron, aluminum, and manganese. And then see the proportion of fixation by hydrous oxides of iron, manganese, and aluminum. Very large quantities under acidic conditions is fixed by hydrous oxide of iron, manganese, and aluminum. And also you can see the reaction with silicate minerals. They also fix certain quantity of phosphorus starting from 5 up to 7.5. And then if you have more than 6 pH, then fixation mostly as calcium phosphates. So this picture is quite interesting. This shows how the soil pH affects phosphorus fixation under acidic and alkaline conditions. So precipitation of phosphorus as slightly soluble calcium phosphate occur in calcareous soils with pH values around 8. Under acid condition, phosphorus is precipitated as iron or aluminum phosphate of low solubility. Maximum availability of phosphorus generally occurs in a pH range of 6 to 7. So overall, it can be concluded that maximum availability is when we have pH 6 to 7. If we lower the pH or increase the pH, the availability will be increased, mainly because of increased fixation. This is one of the beneficial effects of liming acid soils. So maintaining a soil pH in this range, 6 to 7, also favors the presence of H2PO4 ions, which are more readily absorbed by the plant than HPO4 ions, which occur at pH value 7, above 7. Number 2 factor that affects the phosphorus fixation or availability. So fine texture soils such as clay loam soils have greater phosphorus fixation capacity than sandy coarse texture soils. So clays of 1:1 type kaolinite have a greater phosphorus fixing capacity than 2:1 type of clays like montmorillonite, illite, or vermiculite. So type of clay will affect the phosphorus availability. Soils formed under high rainfall and high temperature contain large amount of kaolinite clays and therefore have a much greater fixing capacity for phosphorus than soils containing 2:1 type of clays. High temperature and high rainfall also increases the amount of iron and aluminum oxides in the soil, which contribute greatly to the fixation of phosphorus added to these soils. So in high rainfall areas, by default also you have acidic soils, and these soils have higher levels of iron and aluminum oxides, which fix the phosphorus. Next is time and source of phosphorus application. Means this is related to fertilizer factor. So fixation of soil phosphorus increases with time of contact between soluble phosphorus and soil particles. So with the advancement of time, with the passage of the time, fixation will increase. Fixation of soil phosphorus increases with time of contact between soluble phosphorus and soil particles. Consequently, more efficient utilization of fertilizer phosphorus is generally obtained by applying the fertilizer shortly before planting the crop. If you have applied it much before, then by the time seed required, it could have been fixed in the soil. Bending of fertilizer for row crops is also much more likely to increase the efficiency of fertilizer phosphorus on soils of high phosphorus fixing capacity. The fixation of P from SSP and readily available phosphorus fertilizer will be proportionately greater as compared to the rock phosphate and other slowly available fertilizer. So today we will see 2-3 categories of phosphatic fertilizers. So one is water soluble phosphatic fertilizer. For example, DAP and SSP, single superphosphate and DAP or triple superphosphate, these are water soluble phosphatic fertilizer. So water soluble phosphatic fertilizer should be applied at the time of sowing, but they should be applied in bands. they should be applied in bands near to the seed so that they come in minimum contact of the soil. If they come in if they come in contact with the larger volume of soil, more number of particles, then fixation will be more. So if it is coming in less contact of the particles or less contact of the soil, then fixation will be less. That means availability will be more. You also have other category of phosphatic fertilizer, which is insoluble phosphatic fertilizer, which are not soluble in water, not soluble in citrate. Such kind of fertilizer may be rock phosphate. So rock phosphate should not be applied at the time of sowing. Rather, it should be applied much before the time of sowing. This is point number one. Point number two, it should not be applied in bands. It should be broadcast applied. If we applied it broadcast and mix it into the soil, then this insoluble fertilizer, phosphatic fertilizer, will come in more volume of soil, more soil particles, so that its solubilization becomes fast. So this is the story about phosphatic fertilizer placement or broadcast. So insoluble fertilizer should be broadcast and soluble phosphatic fertilizer should be band placed. This is the message from this slide to get less fixation and more availability of phosphorus. Now, soil temperature, aeration, moisture, and compaction. They are separate factors, but I have clubbed it into one. Soil temperature, aeration, moisture, and compaction. They also affect phosphorus availability. Phosphorus absorption by plant is decreased by low soil temperature. If you decrease the temperature of the soil, the uptake or absorption will be reduced, and also poor soil aeration. Excessive soil moisture or soil compaction reduces the soil oxygen supply. If you have too much of moisture or too much of soil compaction, it will reduce the oxygen supply, hence the availability of phosphorus will be reduced. Compaction reduces aeration and pore space in the root zone. This reduces phosphorus uptake and plant growth. So therefore, all these factors affect phosphorus availability. The aeration is related to compaction. Moisture is also related to compaction. Moisture is related to aeration, and aeration to moisture. And all these can be influenced by temperature. So these factors are really interrelated factors. Compaction also decreases the soil volume that plant roots penetrate, limiting their total access to the phosphorus, soil phosphorus. So root growth is reduced, so the access to the phosphorus is reduced due to soil compaction. So overall, you can see soil compaction can reduce the phosphorus availability. Increasing moisture to optimum levels make phosphorus more available to the plants. Now, phosphorus status of the soil. The basic content of phosphorus in the soil, higher the content, higher is the availability, lower the content, lower is the availability. So crop responsive to fertilizer phosphorus will be greater and occur more frequently on soils testing low in phosphorus. However, yields on soils with high P soil test levels usually are higher. Means there you need no application of phosphatic fertilizer. The response to phosphorus fertilizer on high testing soil is increasing, and it is important to maintain high phosphorus levels to support optimum crop production. Now, other nutrients, the interaction with other nutrients will affect the phosphorus availability. And today we have discussed about phosphorus and your zinc, phosphorus and zinc interaction we have discussed. So adequate supplies of other plant nutrients or balanced nutrition tend to increase the absorption of phosphorus from the soil. Application of ammonium forms of nitrogen, ammonical or ammonium forms of nitrogen fertilizer with phosphorus increases phosphorus uptake from a fertilizer as compared to applying the phosphorus fertilizer alone. Calcium application on acidic soil increases P availability. Now question comes, how come this, if we apply ammonia forming or ammonical fertilizer with phosphatic fertilizer, how will it increase the phosphorus availability? How will it increase the phosphorus availability? Do you know the reason? Hello?
Sir, more solubility of that phosphorus compound.
So it will solubilize, it will form some, but this ammonia is basic in nature. Application of ammonium forms of nitrogen with phosphorus increases phosphorus uptake from a fertilizer as compared to applying the phosphorus fertilizer alone. So you try to find out the answer.
Sir, maybe due to the solubility of ammonium phosphate.
Acidic.
Due to solubilization of
ammonium phosphate.
Sir, ammonia makes the soil acidic.
Formation of
ammonia make the soil acidic. Okay. Yeah, this acidifying effect, I think, may benefit acidifying effect, because wherever you place it, it will not make the whole soil acidic, but wherever you place, wherever it will come in the contact of the particle, that area, that those soil parts will become slightly acidic and may increase the phosphorus availability. But we need to look into the exact reason. I will try to find it out. Now, application, for example, application of sulfur often increases the availability of phosphorus on neutral or basic soils. So it is recommended, many times it is recommended, if your soils have sufficient levels of phosphorus, because phosphorus has residual effect, and you want to use that phosphorus, and your soil conditions are alkaline, then instead of applying phosphorus, people suggest you apply sulfur. So on the one hand, it will provide sulfur to the crop, and second hand, it will make the native phosphorus available, more available to the crop. So under certain conditions, application of sulfur increases availability of phosphorus as well as availability of iron in alkaline soils. And excess zinc can affect phosphorus availability in alkaline soils. Now, there are, besides nutrient factors or other nutrients like nitrogen or sulfur affect the phosphorus availability. Similarly, certain crop factors also affect phosphorus availability. Type of root, what kind of roots are there in the plant, whether they are taproot or fibrous roots. Or wheat has shallow root system, while lucerne have deep root system. It explores deep into the soil. So lucerne may be a better user of phosphorus than wheat, mainly because of root architecture. Most plant species can be infected with WAM. Now it is AM fungi to improve phosphorus uptake. Means root factor or crop factor, you can include this AM fungi. Soil organic matter and microbial activity. You have seen that roughly 50% phosphorus is in organic form. So soils high in organic matter contain considerable amount of organic phosphorus, which are mineralized, similar to organic nitrogen, and provide available phosphorus for plant growth. So you see, this is the process where immobilization and mineralization and also fixation is shown. You have seen it before also. Organic phosphorus is mineralized and it produces available phosphorus or mineral forms, and this can go for fixation by iron, aluminum, calcium, and fixed phosphorus, and they are in equilibrium. Similarly, immobilization, this H2PO4 can be immobilized by microbes. So this is very common reaction in soil. These are very common reactions in soil. So soil organic matter and microbes, they will affect the availability of phosphorus in soil. You can go through it. Now this topic is over. This was in brief possible, but you must read from Brady book and Hisdale book. Now phosphatic fertilizer, just in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I will finish it. Phosphatic fertilizers means fertilizers which contain phosphate are phosphatic fertilizer, because we have given the name here fertilizer. That means these are chemical fertilizers, and they are also called as inorganic fertilizers. So all phosphatic fertilizers are produced from phosphate rock, The only exceptions are polyphosphates produced from elemental phosphorus. So exception is polyphosphate that are produced from the elemental phosphorus. Phosphorus rock reserves are highest in Morocco and followed by USSR, USA. Now it is not USSR, it is Russia now. USA, South Africa, China, Australia have phosphate rock reserves. And phosphate rock basically consists of fluor, hydroxy, chlor, and carboapatites. Fluorapatite being the dominant mineral. So fluorapatite is considered as the dominant also and as a good quality apatite, good quality apatite. The apatites are such, cannot be taken by plants. These apatites, they are largely unavailable to the plants. And phosphate rock can be reacted with a strong acid to make it soluble. So there are many ways to produce phosphatic fertilizer. There may be some physical methods and some chemical methods and also some microbial methods. Variety of methods or options are available. Available to convert this apatite into simple phosphatic fertilizer or simple forms of phosphorus. So some energy is required. Energy can be in physical form or in chemical forms. So you can dissolve this apatite in the sulfuric acid or any acid. If you remember, the first phosphatic fertilizer was single superphosphate. It was made in England by Lewis or Gilbert, whosoever made it. And what they did, they took simple bones. Bones were crushed and sulfuric acid was added. They produce superphosphate or single superphosphate fertilizer. So similarly, phosphate rock or rock phosphate is there in the bones. Bones also contain your phosphate rock and they can be reacted with sulfuric acid to produce superphosphate. So one thing is that one can use acids to dissolve this apatite and convert it into simple phosphorus forms. Other ways to heat and pressure, heat and high pressure can be given to rock phosphate and it may be about more than 1400 degrees centigrade to disintegrate the rocks. And phosphate rocks on an average contains 11 to 16% phosphorus. It is in P forms. Now, phosphatic fertilizers are of three types. One is available phosphorus, it is types of phosphorus. So far, availability is considered. Available phosphorus is the sum of or total of water soluble and citrate soluble phosphorus. And you know how it is estimated, how it is done. Total phosphorus is the sum of all kind of phosphorus, that is water soluble, citrate soluble, and citrate insoluble phosphorus. Unavailable P is your citrate insoluble P. This water soluble and citrate soluble P is considered as available phosphorus. Now you see what is water soluble phosphorus. So a small sample of fertilizer is extracted with distilled water for a prescribed period and the slurry is then filtered. The amount of phosphorus in filtrate is determined and percentage expressed as percentage by weight is expressed in the fertilizer. So you take certain quantity of phosphatic fertilizer, put some water for certain period, filter it, and whatever phosphorus has filtered in the what is there in the filtrate, it can be estimated that is your water soluble phosphorus. And now when you are filtering it, certain phosphorus was not filtered, that remained on the filter paper. Some went down with the water, but some was retained on the filter paper. So that can be extracted with the citric acid. So now you see examples of water soluble P. Monocalcium phosphate is your single superphosphate, monoammonium phosphate, diammonium phosphate, potassium phosphate. Now citrate soluble, the fertilizer residue left after extracting water soluble P with a neutral pH7 solution of 1 normal ammonium citrate for a prescribed time. So it can be ammonium citrate Sometimes people take citric acid also, and slurry is then filtered. So now some phosphorus is extracted into the filtrate, and some will be left in the residues on the filter paper. The P content in the filtrate is then determined and expressed as percentage by weight of the fertilizer. Examples of citrate-soluble P are dicalcium phosphate, basic slag, and calcium metaphosphate. Now, citrate insoluble P, or you can simply say insoluble P. The P content in residue left after extracting the citrate-soluble P. Unavailable to plant examples are rock phosphate. So rock phosphate had citrate insoluble P, bone meal, water and citrate soluble P is available to the plant. Now, phosphatic fertilizers, how they are produced, you can go through it. How this ordinary superphosphate is or single superphosphate is produced. You take phosphate rock and react with sulfuric acid. You get a product which contains 16 to 22% P2O5. And about 90% of the phosphorus is water soluble. It also contains 11 to 12% sulfur. Next is concentrated triple superphosphate. Here, instead of sulfuric acid, you take phosphoric acid. Phosphate rock is reacted with phosphoric acid, and it contains 44 to 52% phosphorus as monocalcium phosphate. And all P present is water soluble in concentrated triple superphosphate. Similarly, enriched superphosphates are also produced when you have reacting your phosphate rock with mixture of sulfuric and phosphoric acid. You produce enriched superphosphates. Then how these ammonium phosphates are produced, monoammonium phosphate and diammonium phosphate, reacting ammonia with phosphoric acid. And you can see the content of N and P in these fertilizers. And then nitric or nitrophosphates are also there. They are important fertilizers. Phosphate rock is reacted with nitric acid to produce this. And then ammonium polyphosphate in certain countries, European countries, they produce ammonium polyphosphates also, and US also. So developed by TBA in USA by ammoniation of mixture of electric furnace superphosphoric acid and up to 50% of 30% of the P as wet process orthophosphoric acid. And then reactions of ammonium polyphosphates in soil. Then partially acidulated rock phosphate. So some people think that rock phosphate can be directly used. Under certain conditions in acid soils, it can be directly used because acid soils, they can be easily solubilized. But if you are using in alkaline soil or neutral soil, then can we add some acid? Note the whole, we don't want to convert the whole P into soluble P. We want only fraction of insoluble P to be converted to soluble P. Then a small quantity of acid can be mixed with rock phosphate and applied in soil. So that is your acidulated rock phosphate. Then go through the rock phosphate fertilizer and what is the, just 5 minutes more, efficient phosphate management. You have seen that phosphorus gets fixed in the soil and also losses by erosion or some are by leaching or crop uptake and fixation. So sometimes availability becomes an issue. So how to increase the availability of the phosphatic fertilizer? There are 3 strategies. One is strategies for efficient utilization of native P. As I told you, there is some residual phosphorus in the soil, so you need to increase its availability. Other is strategies for efficient utilization of fertilizer P. What can be done to increase the availability and use efficiency of fertilizer P? And then strategies for direct use of rock phosphate. If you are using rock phosphate, then what strategy should be adopted? So in the efficient management of phosphorus, you need to look into 3 different aspects. One is related to the native phosphorus, how to increase its availability. Second is if you are applying fertilizer, how to increase its use efficiency. And third is rock phosphate. So strategies for efficient utilization of native phosphorus, how you can increase the availability of residual phosphorus or native phosphorus. Use of P-efficient crops and their cultivars can be used to utilize the native phosphorus. Use of AM fungi can be done, or certain biofertilizers are available that can solubilize phosphorus, or use of, that is phosphobacterium. They were the first phosphatic phosphorus solubilizer. They were used in Russia, phosphobacterium. Now in India also we have variety of fungi and bacteria that are being used to solubilize the native phosphorus. For example, you have Bacillus megatherium variety phosphaticum. It solubilizes the native phosphorus. So these are the three approaches to make the native phosphorus available to the plants. So use of P-efficient crops and their cultivars, you can go through it. AM fungi can increase the availability of native phosphorus by solubilizing it and also by increasing the uptake. And then use of phosphobacterium like your Bacillus megatherium variety phosphaticum can be used, and some more organisms are used. So then strategies, one strategy was for native phosphorus, other is for phosphatic fertilizer. So in this case, deep placement near the growing young roots can be adopted. And I have already explained to you about the management of water-soluble fertilizer. They should be band placed and at the time of sowing, and so far insoluble fertilizer should be broadcast applied and incorporated in the soil. Strategies for efficient utilization of fertilizer P. And then, of course, balanced nutrition is also very, very important. If you lack other nutrients, we discussed about phosphorus and zinc interaction. So you need to have a right proportion of all the nutrients in the soil. Otherwise, phosphorus availability will be low. If you have imbalance of nutrient, imbalance with iron, imbalance with zinc or any other nutrient. So strategies for the direct use of the rock phosphate, what are the strategies? And it can be, there can be mixture of soluble and soluble phosphatic fertilizer and rock phosphate. So there are a number of options for increasing the availability of rock phosphate. Microbes can be added to rock phosphate to increase its availability. So thank you very much. It was really very lengthy lecture. It required at least 5 lectures, I can tell you. On phosphorus, you need 5 lectures to cover this. So better just I try to give you some, I just try to infuse some interest in you so that you can read it same way your nitrogen, potassium, and other nutrients. And of course, some portion of the syllabus I could not teach you, like history of fertilizers and history of soil science or soil fertility. So I will send you those presentation today, and I'll send one to last all presentation to you shortly. And those who could not get them, they can copy, and it will be repetition. So with this, I thank you all, and it was nice cooperation from your side. And today, this was last lecture from my side and last interaction. If you need me anytime during your semester, you can tell me 1 or 2 days in advance. I can take your 8 to 10 more lectures also. So whenever you feel that there is the lectures are required, you can tell me, but those lectures will be in extra time. So, and those lectures will have nothing to do with your exams also. So if you require more lectures from my side, you can ask me at any stage of this semester. Thank you very much. Your questions now. Palomi, you can stop the recording. So if you have questions on phosphorus,